You are my Nan. Born on the 5th of November 1930, by the time I met you, you had seen it all. From Nazi-occupied Germany to the Fab Four. I came into your world when I was given up by my father and my mum in the summer of 1971. You would take me in as your loving son, but Nan, you may not always recognise my face. Even though you remember that song, those were the days that you would sing along. I often question the love, even if not for very long. See, you mean the world to me. Given up as a child, you came into my life. You took me on board, a 40-year-old miner's wife. You raised me to the best I could be, seeing the best in people wherever I should. I wasn't always a saint, but you always understood. Standing in the garden, naked, aged 4, covered in gloss paint, what I found on the shed floor. From feet to my head, see, I was no saint. Spent hours in the bath trying to remove that paint. From my legs, in fact, every little groove, using butter to try and help my skin keep smooth. Red raw from all the rubbing, it was so painful to sleep. Next day covered in calamine lotion to help me sleep. Raised as your son, it wasn't always easy, you know. At parents' evenings, off you would go. You were the oldest parent there, but so proud of me. I know, excuse me while I cry. The memory's so fond. Up the hills, catching frogs, up to my neck in that pond. Bringing them back in buckets was fun. But now so wrong, oh God, what I have I done. Remembering my granddad, drunk as may be, will fall through the door around 11:30. Loose change on the floor from his pockets I would pick up, and you would say, keep that change for your holiday. Holidays were great. 2-3 times a year. Nowhere special, nowhere abroad. Off to Butlins or a caravan somewhere. I would empty the wee bucket and fetch the clean water daily. Remember when I fell with the bucket, I was covered in pee. I was made to shower in that shower block. It was cold, hot, then cold, you see. Avoiding the spiders, looking at the furry mould. I often wondered what it would like to be old. Spending hours on the beach with myself and your beautiful daughter and her boyfriend, playing cricket with a cheap pound bat, trying to avoid the ball, going into the water, wearing a kiss me quick flashing hat, and a flashing bow tie. This was how my life was just before the age of 9. I wished at this time it would never end. You were my Nan, my love, my mum, my friend. But more important to me, you were mine, my Nan. It's easy to see. Christmas presents were always just what I wanted. Lego and colouring books, I never wanted more. Looking out on the Christmas Eve, trying to see Santa by the door. I would look out and you would say, he won't be coming until you fall asleep at the end of the day. So off to bed I would go, so excited, trying to peep, but by the time he came, I was off having some dream adventure in time. Little did I know that these things would make me the person that I am, and each day you see, I'm trying to hold back these tears to get this message out, because you are my Nan. You are a very special Nan, without a doubt. You're my Nan. You had 4 children, 2 sons and 2 daughters. One would die as a baby, so the heartache you had made you realise that me, your grandson, given up as child you would raise as your own, came as no surprise. You had a heart of gold of which you would share. Little money in your life, you just didn't care, because I was your gold and you were my life, my Nan, the lovely miner's wife. Aged 11 with school, off I would go on my very first holiday without you, I know. Cost £30 saved up by you, off to the Isle of Man for a week. First time away from you, my very special Nan. I was crying the day before. You told me be brave and I was your special man, which I did as I walked through that door. So 6 days with friends on an island surrounded by sea. Getting there was no joke, constantly throwing up, travelling over the Irish Sea. When we arrived, it was a relief. Travelling to the hotel, I was full of belief. A magical island, so you told me. That very night after 6, I will queue outside the phone box to phone you. And to let you know that I had arrived safely, I spoke to you over the line. How magical it was, miles apart and over a sea, but you were still mine, someone special to me. A week quickly went. I was back home to see my special Nan, the one who loved me. Your daughter had given birth to a son. I was an uncle and you were a great Nan. Your smile was a mile wide, but not expected as you were my Nan. Off to our school I went, full of fear and the unknown, but you were by my side. You showed me how I had grown. If I walked to school I could have the bus fare, you said, so I did every day. I was clever in my head. An extra £1 note at the weekend was great, because off to play pool I would go, playing with friends and strangers I didn't even know. Growing in confidence, little did I know, all this was possible because of you. I really love you so. The year I would turn 16 was one of those years, not full of smile, but full of tears. Your husband was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And that was the start. Little did I know he also had a bad heart. On my 16th birthday, my best friend would die in a freak accident. He would fall from the sky, from a tree, fetching a ball onto a branch which impaled him. I remember you, a great friend. You took me for who I am, right from the start, right to the end. But Nan, you were there. You would be the understanding Nan, the one who would care. You knew my head was messed up with loss of a friend. On a special day, you would show me love in that special Nan's way, kissing me and telling me that you loved me so. Nan, you didn't need to, I already know. That year had more tragedy in store for us both. One of your beautiful daughters was taken sick with the dreaded cancer. The NHS treated her wrong. We had to fight for compensation. The wrong dosage was given. She was taken away, leaving 2 children, no warning given. So whilst her husband was crying inside, you took on the children you would never hide. You would take them to school and holidays we shared, pick them up so they knew someone cared. Your heart was breaking but your life was full to show. Only years later you confessed so I would know. Looking after me and 2 grandchildren was hard. Grandad was getting worse, unable to feed or dress himself. You took it all on. I would try and help you as much as I could, because you were Nan and that's what I should. That year, a friend of mine would be stabbed in the leg. He died on the way to the hospital and yet found the strength again to support me. Yes, you did. You were my Nan. You were so very unselfishly. Your sister would die from memories of her. Christmas presents wrapped in a full roll of sellotape. I would often hear you cry, so I would come down and hug you so, head and shoulders above you. Yes, I know, but you are mine now. I am now crying again, deep inside. When will this pain end? Your husband was brave. He died a hero. He saved men. He was blown up in the war and had scars all over his body to prove it. He was once the strong man who liked to drink down the allotments to plant, grow and often drink. He sadly died, and this life of mine began to stink. Well, to almost bring things up to date, I could go on, you see. The year is 2016, and you've just been diagnosed with dementia at the age of 76. I knew this was the case because you didn't know who your grandchildren were. You didn't recognise their face. You would say, who are those, when they walked through the door. I promised you I would look after you, which I did. No problem was hard, no problem was id. 3 years later, 2019 would be a year we would like to forget, excuse the pun. You became worse and often you wouldn't know how was your grandson. This year, the year that nearly the very end, in November your brother Ken would die. I didn't know how to tell you, should I lie? So I told you he had died. You welled up, you began to cry. Your little brother, the one you were often the mum to, because your mum and dad had died at a young age, and your granddad Wilf took you all in, and you looked after your two brothers like their mum. Every day we had a cry over your brother. I often wish I had told a lie. 2020 came and a pandemic was now here. Before this would happen, we would go out every day from charity shops to the cinema, making your life full. A chip shop dinner to a McFillet of fish and a cup of tea, anything from this grandson. Trips on a train, it was so sunny and no rain. I'm so glad you did it with someone like me. We got through the first wave, so scared we were both. You being older, me being a diabetic. But I took all the cautions. We emerged out of lockdown safe and sound. Auntie Judy died. To her being a person who liked to drink, then my dad would die. I kept it from you. You had too much on your plate. 6 weeks ago you collapsed on the ground, banging your head on the brand new walking frame because you could hardly walk due to COVID. In an ambulance off to the A&E you went. They told me you hadn't got long left. My heart began to sink. Would I be there for your last breath? So a few days later back home you came to me, crying inside, smiling on the outside. I had moved the bed downstairs next to the settee. I would sit next to you when you dozed, making sure that you were all right. I would sit next to you during the daylight and always at night time, changing your nappies and making sure you're comfortable. You and my nan, I loved even now. How can this be right? Ow. So many memories all filled with love. Then you stopped eating, but you still loved your tea. So 20 cups a day was on the agenda. Extra sugar in them all. And a coffee aid for that extra calories snuck inside to help you get through the day. I would do anything to keep you by my side. 2 weeks ago, my uncle, your son, broke his local curfew rules and came to visit. You had always said to me, be careful of him. He would take everything if he could. You were always so scared of the winters because you didn't like the cold. Not even when you were young, not even when you were old. He took you to his house, saying I needed a break. Little did I know he was turning into a snake. The next day, he took you in hospital, and that's where you are now. Not eating or drinking, surviving, I don't know how. And then just the other day, I was told you had caught COVID. You have been transferred to a COVID ward. I know you are scared and petrified deep inside. Taking your last breaths with no one you know, that's it killing me inside. I've done nothing but cry constantly inside. My life has ended. I can no longer afford to live in this house. One we would share with our cat and often a dead mouse. You were right, Nan, your son, the one you warned me about, took your very last few days away from me. I hope somehow you understand why you lie on that ward. Suicide is definitely an option for me, because although I came across strong, I often suffer mentally, and this year has been exceptionally long. I've tried to kill myself once this year. When I said the ladders are snapped was actually a story I made up to cover up the fact I had tried to hang myself back in April and it had gone wrong. I put the ladder in the loft and put a rope around my neck. I dropped and the ladder broke because I couldn't cope with seeing you so fragile, because you were so once so strong. I would swap in an instant your life for mine to give someone so wonderful and beautiful extra more time. Where do I go? I do not know. I can't live here anymore. I know. I've been told the ultimate soul will be split between three, which is so wrong because this is my house, you see. The one where I had so many great memories and so many sad smiles for holidays, tears for granddad. I am a broken man, deep down inside. No money to live with, no wife beside, no support from friends because most are now dead. No job to go to because I love you, for my love for you was so strong. I wanted to live with you every day. Why is that so wrong? I was called a mummy's boy when I was bullied at school, but I wasn't bothered because mums go, you broke the rule. Always there for me through it all, from the abuse to the grazed knee. You knew how to cope. Never drugs, never dope. Friends lost through glue and tragic accidents. You were there by my side supporting me. A nan like you is hard to find. My neighbours this week say chin up. That's all they say, but how do they know how I feel inside? It makes me think life is worthless. I've nothing to hide. Suicide is definitely appealing. This I cannot hide. When you die, how long will it be? The next body they find will probably be me. Just over a week to go, you will be 90. But little would you know, for dementia is so cruel. It creeps up, it steals not just the memories, but the person you were, taking away the good times as well as the one with tears. Every day you remember someone we lost, we would cry together as though it had just happened. I am crying as I'm remembering these memories of you, for I am your grandson, and honestly, life is not worth it. It's true. I am now a penniless man struggling to survive. Life has gone from being full to completely empty inside. In the space of 2 weeks, every minute of each hour becomes a chore. I am thinking of life. Is it worth it? It's not worth it at all. Well, I see the end of the year. I honestly don't know. I can't promise anything because life at the moment is pointless. This I do know.